Okay, doctorarjaybe here, and I wanted to talk about a subject that some people are concerned about, um, and the topic is sugar bad. Um, now, um, uh, I wanted to mention one thing, and that's that we get sugar in a lot of things that we eat. Um, we even see some sugars even in the meats that we eat. So, we're constantly exposed to sugar. So you can't say that it's a poison. As a matter of fact, um, sugar is our brain's preferred energy. Um, it's not fat, it's not protein, it's sugar. So you need a certain amount of sugar in our body just to make everything happy. Um, our heart muscle, again, does very well with sugar, not as good with other types of energy sources. Um, so when people say that they're going on a keto diet, and their body is going into ketosis and developing ketones, um, you know, not the best source of energy. Um, when I personally went on a keto diet for a while, I noticed that I had a lot of difficulty when I tried to go out jogging. I just didn't have any energy. Now, as a runner, I know exactly what's going on with ketosis because I used to do marathon running. And at the end of a marathon, you run out of carbs. Um, Most people, when they do a marathon, after about somewhere around 20 miles, you run out of carbs, and now you're running on fats as your fuel. You can do this, but it's not comfortable. So they talk about it with as hitting the wall. Excuse me. Because what happens is that basically you're running great, and all of a sudden you run out of your carbs and start slowing down. So it's almost like you hit a wall, and now you're kind of achy and tired and trying to get to the finish line any way you can. What I've found when this happens is that even if I have some Gatorade, which contains some carbs, it doesn't work, because at this point, you just can't take in enough carbs to make it worth your while. Um, they don't get into your system fast enough. Um, and so I'll drink some Gatorade and I might get a little bit of an energy for a few seconds or so, and then I run out again. You got to have a good storage of carbs in your body. So one of the things that the runners will do is they'll try to eat extra carbs before the race so that they can store up on carbs. It's called carbohydrate loading. Um, and so, especially with exercise, it's real important to make sure you have plenty of carbs. Um, Carbs are basically a polymer of sugar. Our primary energy source is a sugar called glucose. Carbohydrates are chains of glucose. So basically, you have glucose chained together, and that's your basically carbohydrates. Um, when you take those carbs into your body, you break those bonds, and now you got individual glucose molecules, and you can use those for energy. Now, there's another sugar that's real common in nature. It's called fructose. Fructose is not as good as glucose. Glucose is a six carbon molecule. Fructose is a five carbon molecule. So basically, our body has to convert fructose into glucose so that we can use it. Uh, Fructose, when it is metabolized, isn't as healthy for us and can cause some, difficulties in metabolism. So, like I said, generally we try to convert it over to glucose and then use the glucose. Um, Now, they've even found with diabetics that glucose can cause a lot of problems for the diabetic. So it's, like I said, it's not the best sugar. Um, but it is in nature. An apple has a lot of fructose in it. Fortunately for us, the apple also has the apple, so you can't get to that fructose. But make a mistake of squeezing the apple and making apple juice. Now you got fructose and water, and it's not the greatest. But leave it in the apple, it's okay. Put your tongue on a cut apple. It's not that sweet. But put your tongue on apple juice, very, very sweet. Um, so juicing is one way of making a nice, healthy product and making it unhealthy. Um, when you juice fruits, it's basically just sugar and water, and it's not too much different than Coca-Cola or some other pop. Just sugar and water, basically, and that's not so good. We don't mind sugars, but you don't want them concentrated. Then they can cause problems with your metabolism. Basically, your body has to provide insulin to metabolize the sugars. So a very concentrated sugar means a very concentrated amount of insulin. So the sugar goes up, the insulin goes up along with it, and so you got a lot of insulin. That doesn't sound so bad, except that insulin does two things. It takes sugar and drives it into the muscle cells, and it takes sugar and pushes it into the fat cells. So now, we don't really want to be putting on a whole bunch of fat because people who are overweight, that extra weight can cause some health problems. So we don't want to take in high concentrations of sugar, which drives the insulin up. Um, but like I said, carbohydrates are just basically a chain of sugar molecules. So you're getting sugar no matter what. Um, Unless you decide you're not going to eat anything. Like maybe all you're going to eat is fat, like butter. So you can avoid all sugars. It's not going to really be a healthy type thing. The big thing also is the added sugar. You'll notice on the nutrition labels added sugar. And that's because, when you start adding sugar to products to make them sweeter and tastier, you're also adding a concentrated sugar. So that's not the greatest for you. Um, but like I said, it's not a poison. Your body needs it. You just don't want concentrated amounts of it. Okay. So in any event, that's the thing about sugar.